Buddy, this is Karen and Reese, otherwise known as the Obsessed Compulsive Gamer, the O.C.G, and I'm here to wish everybody a happy Halloween! Woo! And we're gonna start this Halloween by playing the main course of DLC for The Evil Within, The Assignment, and The Consequence, Kidman DLCs. I did the Keeper because it was shorter and it was more self-contained. Yep, in this DLC you have absolutely no weapons. You have to hide. They existed together, but each saw things in their own way. It was as if each patient's consciousness filled in the blanks, creating their own reality. Test notes from Trial 716, Dr. Marcelo Jimenez.
Do you stand with Mobius?
I do. I made my choice.
Back in the woods. And of course, you can't hardly fucking sprint.
The crash. I wasn't alone. Where is everybody?
Sorry, detectives. Gives it creeps up.
Shit. I've got to get out of here.
Smells like blood.
There's no going back!
Your backup.
Can't be real.
I think you were walking up
Where's
this way.
Joseph?
Am I have to go through here? Like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. I guess I have to head back. Or not. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Where am I supposed to go? Oh, for the love of God. Oh. I feel dumb as shit. She was just all like, oh, I didn't think that I could. Oh, hey, there's Leslie.
Settle down, Leslie.
Leslie.
Leslie. Leslie Withers.
I'm sorry?
Kid, I need you focused. I need your attention. This is a serious matter. Everything we do is a serious matter.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'd like to think so, but conviction must be proven with action. As I was saying, your target is Leslie Withers. He's a patient at Beacon Mental Hospital. But he's something more. Simply put, we need him to run our STEM system. Without this asset, our research will mean nothing.
I don't understand. We own Beacon. Why not just take him?
Our relationship with his advisor, Marcelo Jimenez, has become rather strained. The boy is a leverage piece. Jimenez plans to activate a STEM prototype at Beacon without our permission. Obviously, that's unsuitable. Have no illusions. It will be dangerous. Come, take a walk. The nurses are waiting.
And yeah, so you're seeing like pieces of all this invade Kidman's mind. Oh, the kitty! Oh my god, I love the kitty! Oh my god, I love the kitty!
Hey there.
That's how
Where
she
did you
saves.
come from?
Which has to be one of the coolest way to save in any game I've ever played. But anyway, they straight up tell you in the beginning that everybody who's in STEM, parts of their consciousness inhabit the place. So what you're seeing is reflections of her consciousness and her fears. Because while she works with Mobius, she's scared shitless of them. Oh, for the love of God. I keep forgetting that I went back to fucking stage 0 with her. Shit.
If Jimenez activates the system, you'll be pulled in. Hopefully he doesn't. But as a precaution, we've prepared an infusion to prevent contamination.
Like a vaccine? To protect me?
More accurately, to hide you. We develop STEM, but there is a ghost in the system. Something we call Ruvik. It means to keep us out. This infusion should protect you to some extent.
Why send me alone?
You won't be alone. You'll be with your team from KPD. You'll get a call on the radio reporting an incident at Beacon. Everything will be arranged. But their consequences of little value. In regards to your mission, they're expendable. Sit down. We must have that boy. He will enable us to change everything.
I'll come back with him.
I needn't remind you the consequences for failure. Loyalty is a sensitive subject for us. Trust is such a valued commodity in today's world. So once again, I ask you, do you stand with Mobius?
I do. I made my choice.
Now you must back up your words with actions. Do not waver. Now I'm going to count down. And when I'm finished, I'll ask you a series of questions. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'd like to ask you some questions. Have you ever felt abandoned by the ones you trusted?
Ah, shit.
Hey! Anyone? What's going on? Where did everyone go?
Help!
Hey! Locked from the inside. Maybe there's another way in.
Please. No. No!
Oh, shit. What could have done this?
I'm afraid that the fragile mental states of the subjects are limiting our studies. Mobius wants us to move past Beacon patients and onto more stable people. They want to get STEM closer to its intended use. Would they see the world in the same way? Would a sane mind weather the psychically draining experience? I had that dream again. I entered the STEM myself.
Hey! Over here. Over here. Over here!
Agent status terminated. Authorization invalid.
What? Terminated? Maybe I can force it open with the computer.
Analyzing data.
Okay.
Agent status terminated. Authorization invalid.
What? Terminated? Maybe I can force it open with the computer.
Analyzing data.
That thing used its light.
If the system is activated, you'll hear a high-pitched noise. From then, we can't do anything to help.
What's gonna happen to me?
All I can say is that it'll be unsettling, but Leslie will be in there with you. You'll need to find him.
This is from before. Leslie, is he really here? Leslie is here. Okay, I gotta get to him before anything else does.
So cute. Hold on. Yeah, man. I finished it yesterday. Oh, no wonder they have another bottle. Okay. Oh, shit. It was great. It was a fucking awesome DLC. Especially towards the end, it was everything I wanted it to be. It was fucking awesome. And I would say it probably actually ranks as the best DLC in the entire series, even over Not a Hero from RE7. And it honestly feels like the true ending to RE8. No. Oh! I have like no complaints with it. It was fucking awesome. Like it offered a lot of closure to the threads that 8 started. It had callbacks to 7, and it painted a picture for where Resident Evil 9 is gonna go. And there must have been a fucking like I don't think so, man. I really don't. Resident Evil 4 remake is coming out in 6 months. It's coming out March 23rd, I think, of 2023. So if they were to do any more DLC for RE8, it would conflict with their next main game coming out. And I don't think they want to do that. And on top of that, they never even planned to do this DLC. They've said one of the reasons why it took them over a year to do this DLC is because, unlike 7, where they planned to do the DLC, they were just going to do 8 and be done. And then the response to 8 was so excited that they decided to make DLC afterwards. But obviously, they then had to start making DLC, where as a lot of games that plan DLC are already working on them before the game finishes. That's why they're able to come out quicker. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that 9 is well on the way. People were suggesting that Shadows of Rose was the end of Rose's story, and that due to an interview or apparently something like that, so they're like, oh, this ends Rose's story. I can honestly tell you, without any spoilers, that must have been a mistranslation, because having finished Shadows of Rose, it does not close her story down, it opens her shit up for more. So I'm pretty fucking sure this is not the last of Rose.
You're one of us now.
And honestly, Shadows of Rose renewed my confidence in Resident Evil 9, because with how crazy... Oh man, okay. Resident Evil 8, I love. I think it's one of the better Resident Evil games. It's definitely in the top echelon. I had a blast playing it. I've replayed it a bunch. I enjoyed it. I'm going through it again on third-person mode. And I'm gonna get all the mercenary stages, play with the new characters, so I'm not done with the whole game yet. I just finished Rose's DLC. I love 8, but the last hour or so of 8 jumped the fucking shark and lost the plot. You switched to Chris, and you were calling down missile strikes and going crazy with guns, And it's honestly like the game became Resident Evil 6 again for a little while. It almost felt, you're literally in a strike team with tactical gear and pointing and shit, and it felt like Call of Duty. There was like no horror to it. And then, and then even before that, there was the fucking chainsaw fight with Heisenberg where you're in a fucking mech, with the chainsaw hand, and then all the craziness, and it does redeem itself a little bit because, no, I'm pretty sure Rose is the new Ethan Winters. Yeah, that's a fair assessment. But either way, it redeemed itself a little bit because when it switches back to Ethan at the very end, you get more horror with the Miranda boss fight, and the stuff with Ethan and his death is really touching. But that whole last hour of that game was like it was from a different game. It wasn't bad. It just felt like, am I even playing Resident Evil 8 anymore, or fucking third-person Call of Duty? And then they jumped ahead 16, 17 years, and then they're like, I'm going to play as Rose. They set that up, and it's like, she has psychic powers, so it's like, how the fuck are we going to play with the chick with psychic powers in a horror game? And I was really kind of worried for the future of RE9 that they would go and make the same mistake they did 6 and make it horror, and how they would handle psychic protagonists. But I have to say that after playing Shadows of Rose, I am totally sold on Rose getting her own game down the line, or games, because they obviously made her young for a reason, so they could do plenty of shit in the future with her. She's only 16, so they could do dozens of games with Rose. She's younger than Chris and Jill were when they first started, or Leon. Even Claire was like 18, 19 when the series started, so she's the youngest RE protagonist ever. And I'm not talking about, playing as Sherry, because she wasn't the protagonist. She was like a side character you played for a little bit. They completely rectified any concerns that I had with Rose. Her personality is super thought out. She's funny. She's charming. She's clever. She has bits of Ethan in her. She has bits of her mom in her. She comes off as a teenager, but never to the point where it's annoying or it's like, oh god, this is cringe. You genuinely feel for her and learn about the trauma she endured being different. You see Chris Redfield taking on a mentorly role that I'm kind of excited to see old man Chris, and with this time jump, Chris is now in his 60s, so it'd be old and gray. They'll still probably have him be badass, fucking jacked still, but he'll be, we're looking at Granddaddy Chris. And I already like Rose, and I didn't really know enough to like her because you see it a little bit, but you didn't see enough to know if she was a good character. She absolutely is a good character. But more importantly, they showed that her powers can work and still be scary. Her powers are cool, they're well thought out, but they don't take the tension. It was expertly balanced so that she had powers and she could do things that no other protagonist could do, but she wasn't invincible. You had to use her powers smart, and they were limited. They were like a resource, and it wasn't something that made the game a cakewalk. It was something you could use to give you a little bit of breathing room, and it still managed to be fucking scary, and they compensated for it. So instead, it just felt like a cool tool that you used on top of the guns. And more than ever, they reaffirmed their commitment to the horror. Because like I said, with the ending hour of RE8 having fucking chainsaw mechs and fucking Zero Dark 30 strike teams and explosions and missile strikes, I was really worried that they would go back to, not being horror and make the same mistake that killed the franchise for a while with 6. I mean, the franchise went dormant for 5 fucking years after that shit. But that is not the case. This, honestly, not only is Shadows of Rose one of the, much scarier than the ending act of 8 was, but Shadows of Rose has some of the scariest shit in the entire series. In fact, one particular part that I'm not gonna ruin is probably the scariest moment in RE8 fucking period, even above the creepy baby. Yeah, even above the creepy baby. It's like they took that idea and took it like 10 steps further and ran with it and turned it into like a whole sequence. It's fucked up. And it is super fucking scary. So they completely sold me on Rose as a character. They completely showed that her powers could work and not be overpowered and still be scary. And they showed that they're super committed to horror and that they heard the feedback that they went too far with the action at the end and they reined it fucking back. So, honestly, I'm totally sold on the idea. If they made a RE9 with Rose in it, I would be fucking down. I would be stoked. I would love to see her get another game. Or, get a full game and not just a DLC. And I'm also really interested to see what they do with the time jump. Because, A, they jumped ahead 16, 17 years. That is the largest time jump in the entire fucking series. By far. And 2, this is the first Resident Evil game that's really set in the future. Just about every single other Resident Evil game has taken place in the year or around the year it was set in. RE4 was in 2005, 5 was in 2009. So they've actually stayed pretty consistent with the year they were set in. The games were the original games were in the 90s because they were made in the 90s. But now they confirmed that RE8 takes place in 2021. February of 2021, I believe. I think February 9th, if I remember correctly, reading off the wiki. And they jumped ahead 16, 17 years. So now, if they were to make a game with Rose, it would be like 2036, 2037. So they have carte blanche to depict almost the future, because they're in the future now, and show stuff that's not exactly like our real world. And they also have 17 years of time period to play with. Like, they can now do a bunch of lore, like, where was Chris during this? Where was Jill during this? What events happened during this? So, it allows them to have a new time period that's, like, near future. And it also allows them to have all kinds of new lore and new changes that happened in the interim with Chris doing this and Leon doing that, and we don't know. So I'm actually really excited to see where Resident Evil goes after this. And I don't... Hold on a second, let me... because they have almost 20 years to play with. There's so much they could do with the setting, And from the little bit of the outside world we see in Shadows of Rose, because without a spoiler, in the very beginning, it shows her sitting in a park bench in a city. It still looks like our world, but I'm sure in the intervening years we're gonna see some of, new technology, new shit, probably new bioterrorism, because that was a whole fucking thing. And RE8 ended with Chris going to war against the BSAA. Like, apparently they went rogue, and Umbrella's now the good guys, which was another fucking weird thing. So, we don't know the entire results of what fucking happened there. It sounded like they were about to have, like, a fucking civil war. They could show us how that happened. It could still be going. So, they really just have, like, any number of directions that they could go with this. I'm interested to see, the older characters. Jill's in her 50s now. Claire would be in her 40s. Leon would be in his 40s or 30s. Sherry, did Sherry age? Because, when we last saw her in RE6, she was like 22. But they've showed that due to her experiment with the G virus, she had super healing. She could heal almost instantly. So is that going to be like brain thing where it slows down her aging. I mean, her cells do heal, and that's what causes you to age. So Sherry could still be young looking as shit. And I would love to see her come back because she was awesome in 6. You know, what's going on with fucking Ashley Graham? Like, they could bring her back with RE4. Like, there's so many different cool things that they could do with this time period. And I wasn't sold on it at first, but now I really am. And, yeah, I think I'm going to wind up making a review of the DLC of Shadows of Rose because I just think it was so fucking good, and I have a lot to say about it. Like, I know I've just yammered on and on about it, but I have, like, way more to say about it. I gotta talk about this shit for fucking hours. I'm a Resident Evil junkie. Just about my whole life, I've been a hardcore fucking Resident Evil. The reason why I was excited for the Evil Within that I'm even playing now is because, oh, hey, this was made by the guy who created Resident Evil. I'm down. That's what drew my attention to it. I'm like, Shinji Megami? Fuck yeah. Just about anything he makes, I'll fucking play. Because he's the granddaddy of RE. He is basically the godfather of fucking survival horror. I love him so much. But, you know, so it exceeded my expectations. It's a decent length. It's about 3 hours for a first run through. And that's a decent length. I know 3 hours doesn't sound like much, but the base game wasn't that long. Resident Evil 8 itself was only like 6 to 10 hours, so it still winds up being a decent length compared to the main game. And if they had just charged for Shadows of Rose, maybe it would have been overpriced. But you get Shadows of Rose, and you get the 3 new characters from Mercenaries, and you get the 2 new stages of Mercenaries, and they have new unlockables for each character, so there's a reason to go through the stages as the characters, so you unlock new shit. And then they have the third-person mode. So overall, I think that the expansion was worth every fucking penny. It was, you had a reason to go through the main game again with the third person. That's a whole nother run through. You have the excellent DLC, and then if you're a hardcore or a Mercenaries fan like me, you could spend hours alone just trying to go through the stages with all the characters and get the high scores and unlock all the shit. So honestly, for $20, it was fucking dope. And was, you know, if you liked Resident Evil 8 at all, it's fucking worth it. Like, if you just thought it was okay, but if you liked it or loved it, every penny. I loved it, and I'm like really excited to see where they go next and see what they do with Rose, what they do with her time period, what they do with her powers, because they show that her powers are getting better and she can do new shit. So, you know, stuff we don't even know what she could do. And she could have more tools. Like, this was just a DLC. They could expand her powers into a new thing. And, you know, even in the ending of RE8, the regular ending, they show she joined Chris's organization. So she could go, like, get trained, you know, maybe jump ahead a couple years. And now she's in her 20s or a little bit older, going all around the world in adventures, doing shit. It's also like every fucking subsequent main game in the new series has had a radically different setting. RE7 has the swamp of Louisiana, and then RE8 is fucking cold as shit Europe. So it's like the other side of the globe and the opposite temperature. Yeah, I'm going to play the Mercenaries again. I definitely intend to go through it with all the characters. I'm gonna. I was just learning how to play Chris, and I managed to get triple S with Chris on like the first stage. He's a lot of fun because you can literally just play him with melee. He's literally like just punching an enemy to death, which is kind of funny because they brought up the boulder punching, and so they make Chris's thing punching. It's kind of funny. And I haven't unlocked Heisenberg and Dimitrescu. You get Chris right away, but you don't get the 2 other characters. You have to go unlock and do the new stages to get them. I think in order to get Heisenberg, you have to get A ranking on every stage, including the new ones. And then in order to get Dimitrescu, you have to get an S ranking on the new stage. But I haven't unlocked that yet because they make you unlock it. So, yeah, I'm going to definitely play the Mercenaries again because I didn't unlock all the shit. I haven't even got to play as Dimitrescu and Heisenberg yet. And Honestly, if they're as good as Chris, I'm gonna have a great time. Chris is fucking amazing. He plays totally differently. It's like playing a different game. He can't heal, but you can literally run up to enemies and fucking punch them to death. And he has like a rage mode that you build up, and then he runs super fast, and it basically has one hit kill, so you just run down the hall, boom, 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 and just fucking punch enemies in their faces and kill them. It's fucking awesome. And he even gets different guns than Ethan does. So, like, and he has different unlockables and different power-ups that he gets in the stages. So, he's like his own whole fucking tier of shit. So, if, like, Lady Dimitrescu and Heisenberg are as good as Chris, I'm going to spend tons of time figuring out how to play them and earning their shit. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to play a lot of the Mercenaries. And I also have to finish RE8 in third person. I was at the castle, like I was right at the part where you go in and you fight Lady Dimitrescu. And then I was like, no, I'll play Shadows of Rose, but I need to go back to that because I want to just finish the whole in third person. You know, because they put a lot of work in third person, dude. They put a lot of work in even animations, like pushing shit. Even the boat is in third person, and I want to see that. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to go back to it. I just, and I know I paused the game and fucking went on what seems like a super duper rant. I love this shit. You asked me a question and giving me my thoughts. I love, and especially, here's another great thing, okay? This is like the perfect time for newcomers to get into the series and get into 8 because, you can buy the DLC for $20. But you can just buy the Resident Evil 8 Gold Edition if you haven't bought the base game. And what is so kick-ass about that is it includes the base game and the DLC, like you'd hope for the Gold Edition. But it's the same price as the base game was when it launched. It's $60. So if somebody was holding out from playing RE8 because it was first person and they didn't like first person, they can jump in now, buy it for $60, the same price as a game, get the main game, get it in third person from the start, and get all the DLC. And honestly, $60, and that's even for the next gen version, by the way. PS5, a lot of games are charging extra $10 for the next gen version. Not Resident Evil, which is fucking dope. But what I'm saying is, $60 for the base RE8, for the third person, for the Mercenaries and Shadows of Rose, that's a great fucking deal. And you just get it all in one package? Dude, that's dope. So, like, they not only made an excellent DLC, but they're like, hey, if you didn't play this before because you wanted third person, we now have a cheap way for you to get in here and get all this and just have third person right away. And I love RE8 like so much, and 7, and they're so good games. They're like the pinnacle of horror to me. They're some of the best in the whole series. And it's a damn shame that people wouldn't even play that because they were in first person. Like, I know a bunch of people that are like, nah, it's in first person. Maybe they had a third person when I played, and like, dude, it's so good. You should give it a chance. I'm like, oh, it's in first person. So I'm really excited that people will now give RE8 a chance that didn't because it's fucking good. And even if you liked it and you did like first person, third person still gives it enough of a new twist. It's like, well, I'll replay it again for the 15th time. So. Actually, you know what? You know what I think I'll do? I think I'll take a short break. I'll quit this, and then I'll probably start up RE8 talking about it. Maybe want to play it. If you're there, I'll see you then. If not, I appreciate you watching. I hope